National Campaign Manager, Donald Trump for President, Corey Lewandowski. Hey, Corey, you're up early. Good to have you with us.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me today.
All right. Now, there's a lot. We've been talking to a lot of people, and it basically all comes down to whether or not you're going to get your people out this evening. And I've heard two sides of the aisle. I've heard people say that you guys have got a massive ground game, and I've heard others that said, they don't think it's going to materialize. Which is it?
Well, look, I think what you have, John, is you have people like Pedro who are hardworking citizens who are tired of a broken system, who say, you know what, maybe I've never caucused before, but it's time to change things, and there's only one candidate in this race who will actually bring, fundamental change to the structure and the system, and that's Donald Trump. So I think you've got people who go to work every day trying to provide for their families, who want to make sure that our country is left in better shape than what they have it. And I think those people are the type of people who are going to come out tonight. And if they do come out tonight, those are the people that are going to support Donald Trump. So, we're very happy with where we are right now. Look, we are working every minute leading up to this caucus, which is still about 12 hours away, to make sure that every person who we can call, we call, and every door we can knock on, we knock on. And Mr. Trump has two events. We're in Waterloo this morning. We go to Cedar Rapids this afternoon, and we'll be back in Des Moines for a couple stops in the later afternoon today. But we have left no stone unturned. We'll do our very, very best. And let's just be honest. The electorate is very finicky sometimes. And I'd love to be able to tell you that we would be pleased with a second or a third place finish, because when Mr. Trump got in this race 6 months ago, nobody thought that he would be in the position he is today. But his message of Make America Great Again is one that is resonating with our country and the electorate here in Iowa. So if they are, if we are privileged enough that they decide that they want to vote for Trump and walk out of here tonight, late tonight, with a victory, it'd be a very humbling experience, I can tell you that.
Well, look, I can tell you this. Cab drivers in Des Moines are for Trump. There's no question. Every cab so far that we have taken since we hit town, every single one of them is for Trump. And I went through the same thing when we did the debate in Cleveland, right? And then I said that every Cleveland cab driver back in August when we were at the debate was for Trump. But look, I know, Corey Lewandowski, you've been basically living in Iowa the last 2 weeks. Give us a sense of some of the feeling that you're getting on the ground from people you're talking to. And I know also that in the last week or so, Mr. Trump and yourself, you've changed your strategy a little bit and gone to some more retail campaigning than just the big rallies. How has that reaction been?
Yeah, so, it's when you're on the ground and you get to see it every day and you understand what the people are talking about. Again, they're frustrated. They want good jobs and they want to make sure that their families are safe. And I think, what part of the job of the federal government, if you believe in this, is to take care of our American people. And they want someone who's going to be tough on, terrorism, and whether that's foreign or domestic. We can't have it, and we need to do a better job with our government. And so what we see from going to the rallies, and Mr. Trump has these massive crowds that turn out, and these people are so dedicated, such great people. They wait in line for hours to come and be part of that rally and enjoy it and listen and do their part. But also we've done a number of smaller retail stops where Mr. Trump goes and just talks to people one-on-one and sits down and listens to their concerns. And what they say to a person is, we can't find a good job. We're worried about our families. We're worried about our children. Our national debt is at $19 trillion, going to $21 trillion, and we're doing terrible trade deals. What can you do to fix it? And the answer is very simple. You need smart leadership. You need someone who's a proven leader. Allowing a career politician who has failed at the job that they have to be promoted to become the President of the United States will leave us in the exact same spot we are today, only worse off. And so it's time to change, and that's the message that we've been hearing from people across the great state of Iowa is bring leadership back to the White House. Don't apologize for being American. Don't apologize to everyone in the world for everything that's wrong. Let's try and put our country first again. That's what the American people want. We see it day after day after day, and I think it's time that they deserve to be proud to be Americans again.
Hey, this is Heather Cordasco. I'm co-hosting with John today. I have a couple quick questions to ask you. First of all, are you concerned at all about the impact of the weather this evening? And secondly, did you have anything to say about Netanyahu endorsing Cruz?
Well, I don't, look, the only one who can control the weather is God Almighty himself, so I don't have anything to do with that. If we're fortunate enough and the weather holds off to allow the people to come out to caucus tonight, if it starts snowing at 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, fantastic. I think what you see in the state of Iowa is, if you believe Chairman Kaufman and others, they believe there's going to be a record turnout tonight. There's obviously a lot of excitement out there. And there's a lot of people who have never caucused before who are coming out. And if you look at the last Bloomberg poll, they say if you've never caucused before, but you're coming out, the vast majority of those people are supporting Trump. So hopefully the weather will hold out and people have the opportunity to caucus tonight and take part in the system. I hadn't heard that Netanyahu endorsed Cruz. I know that he has been a friend of Mr. Trump's for a long time. I know Mr. Trump did some commercials for him when he was running for re-election, and I think it's fair to say that based on the 30-year history that Mr. Trump has, there will be no stronger advocate for the state of Israel than Mr. Trump.
Well, look, you know what? We said, Corey, earlier, and I guess I was a little shocked by it because I don't think foreign leaders should be weighing in a Republican or Democratic primaries. It's one thing if you want to weigh in the general election, but there's a lot of candidates that are running for president that have been a big backer of Israel, Mr. Trump included. So, look, I don't think it's going to sway anybody tonight one way or the other. But one thing that we have found in just talking to people for 2 days here is a lot, like you said, there's a lot of people that have not been involved in this process that I think are going to turn out this evening. And I think you are going to get a record turnout in Iowa. And as you know, my predictions are legendary and uncanny. I'm predicting that Donald Trump wins this evening on the Republican side, and I think you guys are going to win handily. Look, I don't think people are going to stand outside to get into a rally for 4 and 5 and 6 hours in the cold all over Iowa, and then not show up when it matters. That defies all logic to me. Coupled with the fact that when you look at the internet activity and the number of people that have gone on various How to Caucus websites, it is dramatically up over what it was in both 2008 and 2012, which says to me there's going to be a lot of new people involved in this process. And I think that with getting these new people involved, one of the things that the pundits, Corey, are missing is that these independents that show up for Trump, these are people that could actually swing the state for the Republican candidate, and I think that is going to be Mr. Trump in November. I mean, this is one of the things that a lot of people are missing. Republicans can't win with the same minority they have. They have to get new people involved.
You're exactly right, John. The other thing is I think what you'll find and what you'll see tonight here in Iowa is that a number of Democrats are going to show up at Republican caucus locations. They're going to change their party registration. They're tired of the way things have been. They're going to vote for Trump because he's the first candidate who has a broad ability to cut across party lines, to bring new people into the fold, to get people energized about politics again, to give people hope again. And if Donald Trump is fortunate enough to be the nominee, he will have the opportunity to carry states which Republicans have not done since the Reagan re-election in '84, states like Michigan and potentially Massachusetts, California, Pennsylvania, completely expand the map to the Democrats. That's the story that no one wants to tell. So what you have is tonight you'll see a number of Democrats who can show up at a Republican caucus location. If you don't know where to go to caucus, you go to DonaldJTrump.com. There's a giant caucus finder location. You punch in your address, and then it tells you where to go. It's important to be in line early tonight. Be in line at 6:30. You need to make sure you're there before the doors close. It's very important. And with potentially bad weather, I'd recommend getting there early. But it's important that everyone participates because if we do have record turnout, I think it's fair to say that Mr. Trump will have a big part of that by energizing people who haven't been involved in the process before.
Well, it's certainly going to be interesting. I want to go to Virginia for a minute. On Saturday, the State Central Committee of the Republican Party of Virginia voted by acclamation to repeal, rescind, or otherwise get rid of the loyalty oath pledge that we led the fight here on the John Fredericks Show, along with you and others for some time, to get rid of. We thought it was egregious. We also thought that it was aimed at one thing, and that was stopping Trump in Virginia. That is now gone. I know you guys were also fighting that with us. I would have to think that you're looking at that as a definite victory in Virginia.
Well, any opportunity to have more people participate in the process, I think it's a good thing. We want to be the party of inclusion, not exclusion. And by asking people to sign a loyalty pledge, people who are maybe independents or maybe they're more Democrat-leaning, although the state of Virginia doesn't have a party registration, and if they want to, they're welcome to change the state law to do that. By asking people to sign a document that says that they will support and will pledge to support a nominee and they don't even know who that nominee is, I think is a very difficult thing. I'm glad the state party came around and changed that. It will allow more people to be involved in the process, and I think it's time that we encourage that. We've seen such poor voter participation in the last dozen years or more because people are fed up with the system. They know politicians are all talk and no action. You send these people to Washington, D.C., and you look at the approval ratings of Congress, and with members of Congress included in these approval ratings, they're at 10% or 9%. It's shameful. Our government is fundamentally broken. And so the opportunity to have more people participate in the process in Virginia is a good thing, and I'm glad to see that they repealed that.
And we were saying this morning that everything is really coming quickly now. We, have today and then New Hampshire and then very quickly followed by South Carolina and then just around the corner is Virginia. So we're really, it's finally heating up. I saw somebody had written an article that said after seemingly 87 days of foreplay, we are about ready to start the process. So I think we're all ready to get it started and see what's going on.
Well, look, Corey Lewandowski, if you guys win tonight, I think you're going to run the table.
Well, look, it's a long way to go in this election cycle, and as you know, we have built this campaign to look past just the first states, whether it's Iowa, New Hampshire, or South Carolina. We have staff in 18 or 19 states. Mr. Trump continues to campaign. We're going to be in Arkansas on Wednesday. We'll be in New Hampshire on Tuesday. We'll be in South Carolina on Thursday. Our focus today and has been in the state of Iowa, but we also look at the long-term opportunities, which is making sure that people in those SEC states, as you know, we've been to Burlington, Vermont, we've been to Massachusetts, we've been to a number of places that have early elections and early primaries because, again, we would love the privilege of winning in Iowa today. But this is a long campaign, and a lot of candidates have a lot of money. You saw how much money some of these candidates have raised recently. Jeb Bush has already spent $100 million on attack ads against Mr. Trump, and I'm sure that we're going to continue to see that. But the great news, John, and I'm proud to say it, is that the latest poll that came out in New Hampshire yesterday, which is Franklin Pierce College and the Boston Herald, has Trump with a 25-point lead in New Hampshire. The latest poll out of the University of Massachusetts today has Trump with a huge lead in Massachusetts. Our message of Make America Great Again is resonating across the country. It's now our job to make sure that these people show up in caucus tonight, show up in turnout on primary night in New Hampshire, get them out in South Carolina and Nevada, and continue to bring our message directly to the people.
Corey, final question. I got in town yesterday, opened up the Des Moines Register, saw a big negative ad against Trump. Made me laugh. Have you gotten any negative blowback in your decision to not participate in the Thursday debate?
Well, it's actually been just the opposite. We've had the privilege of going out and raising money for veterans who, as you know, many of them are treated like third-class citizens in this country. And then one evening, Mr. Trump raised $6 million. In the last 2 days, we've been traveling the state of Iowa, distributing checks to those Iowa-based charities. We gave two out yesterday. They were $100,000 apiece. We gave two out the day before of $100,000. We'll give out some more today. These are the Iowa-based charities so that they understand that what we have done, as opposed to participating in the debate, which is clearly going to be a gotcha debate, was to go and help the veterans who need it the most. And what we saw in the latest poll in New Hampshire, at least, is that by not participating in the debate, Mr. Trump's numbers have actually gone up. So the Boston Herald poll, which was conducted last week, had Trump at 33%. Yesterday, they have him at 38% following his non-participation in the debate because people understand Trump's a doer. So he goes out, he says he's going to do something. We raised $6 million for the veterans. We give that money away. It was a great night, and I don't think that anybody would be willing to say that the veterans don't deserve the money. And these candidates who say, well, if you debate me or you do this or you do that, we'll give you money, they're so disingenuous. Mr. Trump doesn't need anybody's money. He put $1 million of his own money into that veterans event, so to prove that his support is real. But all these other candidates, whether it's Carly Fiorina or it's Ted Cruz, says, if you do this, we'll give money to veterans. Well, if you care about the veterans, don't make it a quid pro quo. put your money where your mouth is, Ted or Carly, and give the money to the veterans if you truly care about them, is my opinion.
All right, that's going to be the final word. National Campaign Manager, Donald Trump for President, Corey Lewandowski.